Councillor Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the discussion. I can hear loud and clear that there's, I think, a perception that that there's not an agreed to dissatisfaction with the current situation that we have in the downtown core. It's tragic that we have homelessness, we have opioid addictions, and that these things have spiked in the last 5 years, that we've seen the pandemic accentuate these problems. And I don't think anyone here wants anything but a good solution to that issue. So I recognize that there's frustration, and I think there's been a lot of discussion on that topic this morning. My concern, and the reason why I support what Councillor Lowe is bringing forward, is that I have a concern with the structure. There's no one that has lived in a Sprung shelter here more than me. I've lived in it in 45-degree heat in the dusty Kandahar Desert. I've lived in it in the winter in Gagetown, New Brunswick. And I recognize that as much as we want to dolly up the language of what these shelter structures are, the structures are cloth with a support. They will require energy to heat them. They are prone to the shack hack. They are communal living. And, we can individualize them with cubicle walls, but this is communal living. And I don't agree that when we say we want to put our best foot forward to receive new asylum seekers and refugees to Canada, that putting them communally in a cloth structure is the right option. And I made that challenge in committee, and I make it again today. There are concerns about the funding. And yes, I agree with the points that I think have been raised by many people around here. There's an obligation to fund the right thing. I've heard much around this table about housing first. To bring in refugees, asylum seekers, and to give them a good first step, like I just heard we want to do, I think we should be looking at the structures. And it does frustrate me to see that we've been working on this now for 7 months since the initial motion came in November, and we have not actively been looking at this from the perspective of modular mass timber housing. I did have a meeting with my colleagues, with staff, to talk about affordable housing, mass timber, modular structures, and there are examples. Waterloo, a single woman's homelessness shelter, 4 stories. From the inception of the idea to the time people were living in it, less than a year. There are technologies that allow for better, more secure, more energy efficient, more resistant to tornadoes, derricos, multi-day outages. It frustrates me to see that we're looking to put people in these structures because I don't think it's the best foot forward that we can put. And that's not a commentary on location. If we're going to say there's a crisis and we need people to go to rec centers, and right now the rec centers in the wards that currently host them are overwhelmed and they need to change out, bring them on. Like Councillor Hubley said, if it's a crisis, then open them up. Open them up across the city. But to say that our best foot forward is to put new Canadians into a tent is not our best foot forward. It's not housing first. We've heard that there were engagements with our partners on this. Was there engagement with the Alliance to End Homelessness? Because I got a letter from them last week before committee. Did Alliance to End Homelessness have a conversation with you about their perspective on the Sprung shelter model?
Mayor, yes, they did.
And what was their conclusion?
Our community partners, like all of us, are concerned with the local crisis. The priority is housing first, as you say. That is also our priority. And they also recognize that in urgent cases, we need to think outside the box. And we've engaged them on Sprung structure, and they support that model.
So I will challenge that because the letter that I got did not say that. But I appreciate the comments, and I will be supporting the Councillor Lowe motion because I believe that we should be looking actively at technological and building construction solutions that are more dignified, that allow more security, that allow more a more welcoming opportunity for people that come to the country, because to perpetuate this idea that we're going to do mass communal shelter lodging is to simply perpetuate the problem. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor.